Hey guys, it's Jeremy here on Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. What do you have for today, guys? Is the next installment of my top 10 albums of each year. And at this video, we're up to 1985. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and you like these top 10 lists, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And if you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up for more exposure. And I also have a playlist. I did the top 5 of the 70s. I began in 1970. And then when I got to 1980, I did my top 10. So definitely check out those playlists if you haven't checked out my other videos. But this is 1985, guys. Let's jump right in. This was a really hard year. There was a ton of killer albums. I think out of my 10, 8 of them are debuts. And there's another 4 albums that I really didn't want to leave off, but they just barely didn't make the list. And I was really struggling with this year, trying to decide what to put in the top 10. And then even in the top 10, there wasn't any clear top 5. It was really hard to really rank them in the 10. But I made a final decision and put a list together. So let's jump right in, guys. At number 10, I have the debut album from Celtic Frost, To Megatherion. This is a great album. It's one of the pioneers in introducing black and death metal. It's very experimental, very artistic. It's very easy on the ear. It's a great sounding album. I don't want to talk too much about each album, guys, because the video will be a little bit long. Just some standout tracks. Jewel Throne, Innocence of Wrath and Wrath, and probably Circle of Tyrants are standout tracks. And at number 9, might be surprising for some people to be this low on the list, but I have the debut from Megadeth, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. This is a great debut. It's not my favorite Megadeth album. The ones after it are way better. But I still play this from time to time, and I wanted to show it some love on the list. Standout tracks, Last Rites, the title track, and Rattlehead. At number 8, I have SOD's debut, Speak English or Die. Great album, and if you don't know what SOD stands for, it's Stormtroopers of Death. Great thrash crossover band. This is an all-time classic album. This had to be my top 10. Every time I do listen to this, I listen to it, I really enjoy it, but if for some reason it's an album I don't pull off the shelf or my stack as much as I thought I would, but that's why it's a little bit lower on the list. But solid album, really a classic album. At number 7, great Canadian speed metal band, thrash band, Razor, with their debut Executioner Song. Great album, great debut, love this band. They should have been a lot bigger than they were, in my opinion. One of the big 4 of Canadian thrash. And standout tracks, Take This Torch, City of Damnation, and March of Death. I would say those standouts. So now we're at number 6. Another debut, Overkill, Field of Fire. Fucking love Overkill. Very consistent band, great thrash band from the east side in US. Standout tracks, Raise the Dead, the title track, and Rotten to the Core. Really good debut album. Love Blitz's vocals, is very distinct, and great stuff. And at number 5, another debut, Destruction's debut, German thrashers, with Infernal Overkill. Standout tracks, Death Trap, Invincible Force, and I guess Antichrist is pretty good. I put that one as well. And at number 4, I have Possessed, 7 Churches. Fucking love this album. It's noted as being possibly the first death metal album of all time. There's always that debate between, I know this predates the debut Death album, Scream Bloody Gore. But yeah, this is arguably the first death metal album of all time. They kind of have a mix of thrash and death. Really good stuff, really good album. And standout tracks, The Exorcist, title track, and Holy Hell. At number 3, The Mighty Slayer with Hell Awaits. Standout tracks, the title track, Praise of Death, and Kill Again, I would say. Great album, very doomy, very evil sounding album, very dark. It's very, I don't know how to describe the production on it. It's very in your face, but evil sounding and frantic almost. It's all over the place, but it sounds really good. One of my favorite Slayer albums for sure. At number 2, the second studio album from Anthrax, Spreading the Disease. Love this album. I think this one and the debut are my 2 favorite Anthrax albums. Standout tracks from this one would be Madhouse, AIR, the first track, and probably Aftershock, I would say. Really solid album. I listened to this quite a bit. It's really good. It's definitely deserving of a higher ranking. And just before I name my number 1, I just want to give some quick honorable mentions. There was like 4 albums that were really just under the wire. The first one was Onslaught's debut, Power from Hell, great Doom debut. I even thinking about it now, I kind of regret not putting it on. It's such a good record. It's killer Doom band. Love these guys. Accepts Metal Heart was another one. Another great album from the great German band. This one's a little bit cleaner, more commercial, has a really good production on it though, really good memorable songs. Just a very good album overall. Another one was Wasp, Final Command. I'm not the biggest Wasp fan, but I always love this album. It's got a lot of their big hits on it and some really good songs. I really always enjoyed it. It's a good album. And another one was Halloween, their debut, Walls of Jericho. Again, I'm not a big power metal guy. Walls of Jericho. I'm not the biggest power metal guy, but this is a kick-ass classic power metal album. It's still very speed metal. It's very thrashy side of it. It's very heavy still. It's not quite that typical kind of corny power metal. It's really aggressive and heavy still. I really enjoy that album as well. I feel like there's one other one I was missing that I forgot to mention. Dio had Sacred Heart. Not my favorite Dio album, but really solid, still pretty good. Oh, the other one was Creator's debut. Creator had a really good debut too. Was another one that really pained me not to put it on. Endless Pain. Really solid album. Love the German thrashers. Really good stuff. Outside of that, like Rat Hat Invasion of Privacy was a big album that year. Let me see here. Venom Possessed was that year as well. It's a pretty decent album. Not one of my favorites from them, but pretty solid. Other than that, Artillery had Fear of Tomorrow, which was pretty solid. That's all I'm really kind of like. AC/DC had Fly on the Walls, not bad. It's a decent album. Yeah, some good stuff this year. Really good stuff. And for my number 1, guys, I had to put one of my favorite thrash bands, Exodus. Fucking love Exodus. That's my cat showing up like clockwork, like he always does. Bonded by Blood. One of my favorite thrash debuts of all time. This is the one that had Paul Bailoff on vocals, just for the one album. This album is very aggressive. It's very pummeling. It's very raw. I love how it sounds. It's amazing. Of course, Gary Holt, one of my metal heroes, has some crazy riffs on this album. Standout tracks, the title track, Piranha, and probably Metal Command, I would say, would be the other one. Great album. One of my favorite from Exodus, the early years, and just killer stuff. So guys, down below, let me know what your top 5, top 10 albums of 1985 are. If there's any albums I might have missed, overlooked, possibly. The majority of this list was thrash, because I'm a diehard thrash head. It's always been my favorite subgenre, and I kind of knew going into the 80s that a lot of my lists are going to be comprised primarily of thrash bands. You know, like on this list I had Megadeth, SOD's crossover thrash, Razor, Overkill, Destruction's debut, Slayer, Anthrax, pretty much all thrash. But it was a killer year for thrash and other stuff. But yeah, let me know down below, guys, what your albums are from 1985, and stay tuned for 1986 coming probably in the next week or two. And until next time, keep it metal.